Hi, everybody. I'm Rose, and this is also Julieta and Kat. And we are fourth year architecture majors, a part of the College of Architecture and Environmental Design. And along with our instructor, Kelly Brooks, we've put together this presentation to showcase our research on and design work ideas about implementing outdoor learning for elementary school students in light of COVID-19. Today, we're going to talk with you about outdoor learning and its values and benefits, especially those that are evident because of COVID-19. We will also talk about our work with Creston Elementary and our hopes for possible implementation of these tactics at schools across California. To begin, a quick definition of outdoor education, or outdoor learning, as experiential learning within, for, or about the outdoor and natural environment. To differentiate, environmental education uses nature as the tool for learning, compared to learning outside, where typical indoor instruction is simply brought outdoors, which is more of what we have seen with COVID-19. To accomplish this, teachers will need support in modifying spaces and curriculum, although it does not necessarily mean making curriculum environmental. We also wanted to highlight the way outdoor learning fosters spaces where students can become leaders in their learning and offer opportunities for creativity in non-traditional ways. As research during the pandemic has shown us, being outdoors weakens disease transmission, contributing to the overall health and well-being of students and teachers. Going beyond COVID-19, it provides opportunities for students to develop essential and positive relationships with themselves, with peers, and with the environment. On a more individual scale, we have found that there are academic, health, and physical and mental well-being benefits. Because of COVID-19, implementing outdoor learning has become a pressing goal, focused on the speed and urgency of getting kids back in school as quickly as possible. There has been more exciting possibilities for outdoor learning because of related grants and funds. However, we also believe the strategies being implemented to address COVID-19 issues are not being designed to last forever, which creates a place of focus for further action and necessary work. This is where Green Schoolyards America comes into the picture. This is a national organization with the goal of transforming elementary school spaces into green spaces, to provide opportunities in the areas of learning, play, and ecological health of communities. The program is focused on improving child well-being and prioritizes diversity and equity. Here's an example of some of the exciting work that's being done by Green Schoolyards at an elementary school in San Francisco, California, and the before and after renovation. Green Schoolyards has created the National COVID-19 Outdoor Learning Initiative, fostering implementation of outdoor spaces with the urgency of COVID-19 at the forefront, and then with hopes for implementation beyond this year. Volunteers working on the initiative have done lots of research on the topic, provided workshops, policy guidance, funding, and much more. The initiative is also focused on addressing racial and income disparities that have become even more evident and harmful because of COVID-19. We're going to zoom in and focus on Creston Elementary School in Atascadero, California, which Green Schoolyards matched our team with through their initiative volunteer program. Creston's justification for improving outdoor learning was to improve student attendance and student engagement. Although we are not raw researchers, what we have gathered from the Green Schoolyard source, interviews with educators, and our architectural education has informed the following architectural solutions.
Thanks, Rose. I'll talk to you about what Cal Poly has done to help Creston through the volunteer initiative and beyond. So first I'll talk about the site assessment work that we've done, what we did with that information, and what Creston has done with our proposals. So in the fall quarter, a group of students did a site assessment which identified green spaces on Creston's campus. The goal was to get Creston students back on campus as quickly as possible by providing some sort of solutions that the campus could easily implement with things they already had or could easily obtain. After this, we took on the project and reassessed the campus to further analyze what was already working for them, what areas might need a little more sparkle. Specifically, we were looking for spaces that weren't being used to their maximum potential, in addition to neglected spaces on the campus that could potentially provide great learning areas for students. So these proposals were in areas 6, 9, and 3, which are the smaller boxes on this map. I'll only explain 2 today though. So area 9 was previously an abandoned planter box filled with bark, which is located adjacent to the heart of the campus. So this is a case of a neglected area. What we suggested here was for Creston to install this elongated bench with storage underneath that students could sit on and store some of their supplies in the cubbies while they were in class or maybe hang out during lunch. This is a learning space not specifically tailored to any type of subject like math or art, but rather provides a space for teachers to take their class outside when they see fit. Area 3 is a case where we saw Creston already doing some great work to implement learning outdoors by having plans to extend their school garden and make this space more tailored for learning. So what we proposed here is to create a more formal setting for an outdoor classroom. We gave them quotes on weatherproof whiteboards, tables, other furniture that they could use. But ultimately, what we suggested as the first step to improve this space was to level out the sides of the existing pergola walkway, fill it in with decomposed granite, put up a fence for safety reasons, and voila, you have a space that can be used for greater group discussion or other events. After these more urgent projects, we saw that other areas on the campus could be utilized to assess other ways of learning that provide students with a more well-rounded experience at school, whether that means creating a space for an alternative mode of learning or a space for students to de-stress. Ultimately, these prototypes would be more infrastructural. So this first prototype project is our stair installation located in the courtyard. These stairs are typically used for morning assemblies and act as a general gathering space for students during the day. So what this design does is activate that space by providing seats and tables for students to use during other times of the day when these stairs wouldn't be otherwise used. The second prototype is also located in the courtyard. This acts as a sensory path where students can gather during lunch times, or really any time of day, morning or after school, or even during a break to de-stress. These planter seats come in different sizes, and they're able to be rearranged to create seating clusters or one big seating cluster where students have agency on how to rearrange and how to use the space really. The planters not only break up the courtyard to host more people, but also provide some form of immediate sensory connection to nature, which has proven to be very beneficial, especially for young children in schools.
And now I'll talk about the current work we're working on, which involves prototypes for a pathway, an outdoor classroom, and inhabitable walls. And so for our first prototype, this is for students with learning as adversities. And so they can learn through unrestricted movements and with sensory touch and hearing. So for the first part, the sensory number path, we have a number path where kids can learn through like touch and feel with different textures and also being outside and around nature. And they can move around and navigate their own path. And with the vertical bars and circulation path, they become more independent, deciding where they want to go and also being surrounded by their teachers who can sit on these benches and also engage with the students. Next, we have the outdoor classroom, and this can be used for various social and classroom activities. It also has a breakout area. So we have the main classroom area, and then if kids choose to circulate around it, they have the breakout space as well, and it has access to the garden. And then we have the third space, which is the inhabitable walls. And these are used for students to give them a sense of agency and to choose their own activity, whether it be in groups or simply just sitting in silence. And these also provide spaces for de-stressing and have a sensory connection to nature and through the materials. And we hope that these design strategies will be implemented across campuses around California.
In conclusion, COVID-19 has spurred the need for outdoor learning. Further establishment of outdoor learning will continue to promote health, care, and well-being for individuals and the environment. COVID-19 has made these topics more relevant, but focus should remain on long-term implementation that can contribute to the quality infrastructure and positive identity of a school. as a place where students want to be and learn. Here's some feedback we got from Creston Elementary School about the impact on the identity of their school. And we thank you for choosing us to be a part of the showcase. That's the end of our presentation. Thank you for the comments in the chat, but we can also take questions now too.
All right, thank you very much. That was excellent and lovely to have students being presenters as well. I think that's fabulous. And so I don't see any hands up. I see clapping and cheering. Oh yes, Dr. Jafra Thomas.
Yes, I'll get us started. Thank you so much for this presentation. I'm reminded of universal design for learning that's implemented in physical education courses, not as often, but it's something that's been given some attention. And so I'm wondering, as you thought about the architectural design and improving the use of space for outdoor learning, I'm wondering, I wonder what your thoughts are of considering how that might link into the principles of universal design for learning for supporting self-directed and autonomous learning using multiple forms of representation, engagement, etc.
I can speak on that topic. And so Creston Elementary, they had a hard time with getting students to be more engaged in learning because they're like, I don't want to stare at a screen. And so by providing these outdoor facilities, they were able to interact with the students and get the kids excited to be at school. And also, I think with outdoor learning and learning through experience, it gives kids a sense of agency and they're excited about different subjects because it's not just you're sitting down in a class, you're learning through different movements. But if Rose or Julieta wants to touch on that aspect as well.
Yeah, I think that giving the kids agency and being able to kind of choose the path that they're learning and giving them leadership in that is a really cool idea that I think we've started to implement in some of the design work we've been doing. And so we've talked kind of about what it looks like for kids to be able to go on a journey and kind of pick one way and then maybe another time be able to pick another layer to that pathway. And so those are some of the things we've thought about, but definitely an interesting and kind of advantage that can be seen through outdoor education.
I have a question. Do you have any idea if some of the COVID funding that different counties are getting, any idea if they're kind of using some of these ideas toward implementation at schools?
I can talk about that. So at first, Creston had this this deadline to follow to use the funding that they were given for COVID. So we, in the slideshow, we showed those two areas that the school wanted to utilize as an outdoor classroom. And so we came up with ideas and presented two different schemes, the scheme 9 and scheme 3, which used the decomposed granite. They didn't do exactly like what we designed, but they used those ideas so they could get kids back in school. And they hired a contractor and they had a pretty fast turnaround. I think it was around 2 weeks, and they already had made the space, and we were really surprised how fast it was built.
Well, that's really cool. And it's probably especially because the resources were there, right? You know, I mean, you had funding to pay for it. So it made it possible.